Welcome to this 15-minute Ashtanga Inspired Sequence. This sequence is based on the primary series of Ashtanga. Not all asana of the primary series are included in this sequence. Begin first by coming to your standing position, samastiti, at the front of your mat, with your big toes touching, a little space between your ankles, your arms by your side with your palms facing in. And now bring your hands to your hips, separate your feet so they're hip-width distance, and as you exhale, fold in. Bring your first two fingers around your big toes, inhale, lift and lengthen, and exhale, fold. Draw your torso towards your thighs, bring your elbows slightly out to the side and draw your shoulder blades down your back. Breathing here, bringing your forehead or your nose towards your shins. Keep drawing up through the sit bones and inhale, lift and lengthen. Now release your fingers from your big toes and bring your hands underneath your feet. Padahastasana, folding in. Continue to draw your sit bones upwards. Bring your weight slightly forward so there's weight onto your wrists from your feet. Continue to breathe deeply here. And on your fifth breath, inhale, lift and lengthen. Release your hands out from underneath your feet. Bring your hands to your hips and guide yourself up, returning to samastiti. Now step back with your right leg, coming into Tita Trikonasana. Take your first two fingers around your big toe. Reach your arm up, bringing your gaze to look at your fingers. Now on your inhale, bring yourself up. Now taking your first two fingers around your left big toe. Bring your gaze to look at your fingers. Breathing here, continuing to draw your right shoulder back. And on your fifth breath, guide yourself up, coming into Revolved Trikonasana. Placing your right hand to the outside of your left leg. Drawing your right shoulder back, continuing to reach your fingers upwards and bringing your gaze to look at your hand. Keep rooting down through your back heel. Inhale, guide yourself up. Bringing now your right hand to the outside of your left leg. Drawing your left shoulder back, reaching up with your fingertips and bringing your gaze to look at your fingers once more. Remain with the breath, and on your inhale, bring yourself back to samastiti. Now, stepping into your extended side angle pose, bend your right knee, bring your right hand to the outside of your right foot, extending your left fingers, bringing your gaze to look at your fingers. Continue to press the edge of your back foot down. Guide yourself up. And now same thing other side, taking your arm to the outside of your knee, reaching forward with your fingers, pressing down onto the edge of your back foot. On your fifth breath, guide yourself back up. Now, taking your arm to the outside of your leg, rotating your torso and extending your fingers. Continue to breathe here. Guiding yourself back up. Same thing, other side. Bringing your arm to the outside, reaching out through your fingers, and bringing yourself back up, returning to samastiti. Now, coming into pyramid pose. Bringing your hands into reverse prayer, fold at your hip crease. Continue to press the heels of your hands towards each other, guiding your shoulder blades towards each other. Bringing either your nose, your chin, or your forehead towards your shin. Inhale, guide yourself up, rotate backwards at a 45-degree angle, and begin again to fold in. Ensure that your hips are square. Breathe deeply. Have your gaze at your toes. Stay with the breath. Continue to press the heels of your hands towards each other as you guide yourself up, stepping back to samastiti. Release your arms by your side, palms facing in. On your inhale, guide your arms up. Bring your gaze to look at your thumbs, bend your knees into chair. Fold on your exhale. And inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Coming into your upward facing dog. And then exhale, back to your downward facing dog. And bring yourself back into your chair pose. Keep your gaze at your thumbs. Keep with the breath. And then exhale, fold in. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, guide your heart forward and through. Returning to your downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, coming into Virabhadrasana 1, bringing your gaze to look at your thumbs. Breathing deeply. Keep the heart lifted. And on your fifth breath, straighten your leg and now bend into the opposite knee, reaching still up through your fingers, bringing your gaze upwards. Have your knee right over your ankle. Continue to press down onto the edge of your back foot. Come now into your Virabhadrasana 2, reaching out through your fingers forward and back, shoulders over your hips, knee over your ankle, and now bend into the opposite knee. Keep reaching out through your fingers. Again, shoulders and hips stacked. Stay with the breath. Frame your front foot and step back, coming into your Chaturanga Dandasana and upward facing dog. As you exhale, return back to your downward facing dog and then guide yourself forward with your legs stretched out in front of you for Dandasana, staff pose. Stay lifted up through the crown of your head, keeping your gaze at your big toes. And on your exhale, take your first two fingers, wrap them around your big toes, and fold in. Breathing deeply, continue to draw back at your hip crease. Allow your shoulders to relax. And then inhale, bring your gaze to look at your big toes. Take your right hand to your left wrist, and as you exhale, fold in. On your fifth breath, release your hands, bringing your gaze again to look at your big toes. Take your right leg, cross it over your left, and again come back to your Chaturanga Dandasana and upward facing dog, moving through your Vinyasa, returning to your downward facing dog. Now bring your legs through, coming into upward facing plank pose. As you do this, continue to press your feet down onto the earth as you lift your hips, bringing your shoulder blades towards each other to lift the heart higher. On your exhale, crossing your ankles, and again, step back, Chaturanga Dandasana, and upward facing dog. Return to your downward facing dog. Now come onto your back and draw yourself up into your shoulder stand. Reach up through your feet. Continue to draw upwards from the base of your spine. Breathing here. And now on your exhale, allow your legs to drop back, coming into Halasana. Keep the spine long. Interlace your fingers. Draw your shoulder blades closer towards each other. Keep lifting the sit bones upwards. Stay with the breath. And now bend your knees. Bring your knees over your ears. And press your knees against your ears. Breathing here. Pratyahara is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, sense withdrawal. Now draw your legs back up. Take your right foot to the inner crease of your left leg and your left to your right. Urdhva Padmasana. Have your hands press against your knees against your hands. Keep your spine long. Remain with the breath. And then as you exhale, draw your knees in towards you. Wrap your left hand around your right wrist. Breathing here. Breathe deeply here, and then take your first 2 fingers around your big toes and guide yourself up into Padmasana. From here, guiding yourself into your fish pose. Keep the heart lifted, the crown of the head touching the mat, and then release. Draw your arms up, bring your legs up. Breathing here in extended foot pose. Now rock yourself up, come through to your Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog, and returning to your downward facing dog. Once you come forward, coming into Padmasana, bringing your right foot to the inner crease of your left and your left to your right. Coming into a bind, bring your first 2 fingers around your big toe and then cross over to the other side. As you fold, bring either your chin, your nose, or your forehead towards your mat. Breathing here. Guide yourself up and release the bind, returning to Padmasana. Bring your gaze to look at your nose. Allow your shoulders to relax. Stay lifted up through the crown of your head. And now from here, press your hands down onto the mat. Lift up away from. Continue to draw up away from the mat, and then exhale, release. And bring yourself into Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog, and back to your downward facing dog. Now step forward or jump. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Guide yourself all the way back to standing and into Samastiti. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a moment to honor yourself and your efforts in your practice. Take a deep inhale through your nose. A long exhale through your nose. And when you are ready, draw your arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, jump back. Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog. Returning to downward facing dog. Returning back to your Padmasana, taking your right foot to the inner crease of your left leg, your left to your right. Bring your palms to face up. Now draw the corners of your mouth slightly upwards. Take a deep inhale through your nose and a long exhale through your nose. Notice the feeling of lightness in and around your heart. Thank you for joining me for this Ashtanga Inspired Sequence, exploring some of the Ashtanga poses of the primary series. The light within me honors the light within you. Namaste.